The Handmaid's Tale has been on Hulu since 2017. 6 seasons, a spinoff, a cultural phenomenon. An entire generation knows the red robes and the white bonnets, but has never read the book that started it all. So, did they nail it? And what did the show get completely wrong? Let's talk. Welcome to Before It Was a Movie. I'm Kelly. Today, we're talking about one of the most important adaptations of the last decade, Margaret Atwood's The Handmaid's Tale. I just rewatched the entire series to finish the final season, and I have some thoughts. A lot of thoughts, actually. The show is extraordinary. The book is extraordinary. And they are not always the same story. Let's get into it. Before we talk about the show, let's talk about where this whole world came from. Margaret Atwood published The Handmaid's Tale in 1985 on a typewriter in West Berlin. She said she only included things in the book that had already happened somewhere in the world. No science fiction, no invention. Every horror in Gilead has a real-world precedent. That's what makes it so deeply unsettling. The book follows Offred, a handmaid in the Republic of Gilead, a totalitarian theocracy that has taken over what was once the United States. Fertility rates have collapsed. A few fertile women who remain are forced to bear children for the ruling class. They're stripped of their names, their identities, their entire past existence. They are property with a biological function. What makes the books unlike almost anything else is how it's told. Offred narrates in a quiet, precise, almost clinical voice. She notices everything, the tiniest details. She tells us what's happening around her with a kind of detached accuracy that's somehow more disturbing than rage would be. And here's the thing. In the book, Offred is not a rebel. She's a survivor. She keeps her head down, she observes, she endures. Her priority is staying alive, not changing the world. There's also an epilogue at the end of the book that most people who only watch the show have never experienced. It's a framing device set in the far future where historians present Offred's story as a found document. It reframes everything you just read in a way that's quietly devastating. Now the show. And I want to start with what it got absolutely right because there's a lot. Season 1 of The Handmaid's Tale on Hulu is one of the most faithful and most intelligent book adaptations I've ever seen. It covers essentially the events of the novel, and it does so with complete fidelity to the spirit of what Atwood created. Elizabeth Moss as Offred, or June as the show names her, is a masterclass in restrained performance. The show communicates her internal world almost entirely through her face, her eyes, the things she almost says and doesn't. That's exactly the right approach for a character whose power in the book comes from her inner voice. The visual language of the show, the red robes, the white bonnets, that block peripheral vision, the way the handmaids walk in pairs, is so perfectly realized that it's become genuinely iconic. Those images have appeared at real-world protests. That's how deeply the show captured what Atwood was warning us about. The show also made one specific change I think was genuinely smart. It revealed Offred's real name as June in the very first episode. In the book, Atwood deliberately keeps her name ambiguous because the handmaids are stripped of identity. But for a television show that needed us to follow this character for multiple seasons, giving her a name was the right call. It makes her human in a way that serves the medium without betraying the meaning. And the casting of Anne Dowd as Aunt Lydia is one of the greatest casting decisions in television history. Full stop. Now here's where I have to be honest about something. The show and the book tell fundamentally different stories about the same character. And I think the show's version misses one of Atwood's most important points. In the book, Offred is passive. She's not a rebel. She doesn't lead a resistance or make dramatic escape attempts or become the symbol of a revolution. She survives by being invisible. And that passivity is the whole point. Atwood is showing us how ordinary people allowed extraordinary evil to take hold. Offred herself admits she knew her rights were being taken away and did nothing. She was a bystander, and Gilead grew because of people like her. The show turns June into a fighter, a revolutionary, someone who defies Gilead again and again, who organizes resistance, who survives through sheer force of will and moral clarity. That's a more satisfying television protagonist for sure. I understand why they did it, but it completely loses Atwood's most uncomfortable and most important argument, that the people who let this happen were not monsters. They were ordinary people who looked away. When you make June a hero, you let the audience off the hook. You let us believe we would have been different. The book doesn't let you believe that. The other thing, and this is worth mentioning, is that the show invented 5 seasons of plot that Atwood never wrote. The book ends with Offred climbing into a van that may or may not be headed toward safety. That ambiguity is intentional. That ending is the point. The show kept going and going until the weight of all that additional story started to collapse under itself. Season 1 is a near perfect adaptation. By season 5, it's a completely different story wearing the same costume. I also want to talk briefly about the Testaments, because this is one of the most unusual situations in modern adaptation history. Atwood published the Testaments in 2019, 34 years after the original novel, and she wrote it while the show was already airing. The show had gone so far beyond her original book that she wrote a sequel to reclaim the story. The Testament picks up 15 years after The Handmaid's Tale and gives us 3 new narrators, including Aunt Lydia, whose perspectives completely reframe everything we thought we understood about Gilead. The Testaments won the Booker Prize. It is brilliant, and the Hulu spinoff that just aired adapts it, but sets it only 4 years after the show's finale rather than 15 years after the book's ending. A completely different timeline for a completely different story. My recommendation, read the Testaments before you watch the spinoff. It will make the whole experience richer, even knowing the adaptation will diverge. So, did they nail it? Season 1? Yes, 100%. Completely, beautifully, almost perfectly. The full series? It's complicated. The show gave us something extraordinary in its first season and then slowly became a different story. A good story, in many ways, but not Atwood's story. Here's my honest take. Read the book before you watch the show. Not because the show is bad, because the book will make you sit with something uncomfortable that the show eventually lets you escape from. And that discomfort is exactly what Atwood intended. The book asks you, would you have been June, or would you have been someone who looked away? The show tells you would have been June. I think that's a fundamental difference, and I think it matters. Have you read the book and watched the show? I want to know, do you think June needed to be a rebel for the show to work? Or did losing the passivity lose something essential? Drop your verdict in the comments. Did they nail it or ruin it? Links to both The Handmaid's Tale and The Testaments are in the description below. Subscribe for a new breakdown every week and find me everywhere at Before It Was a Movie. Read first, watch second, judge always.